Okay, hi, welcome to the Spirit Lounge first live session. It's a classroom, if you like, sharing my perceptions and thoughts. And before I go any further, I just want to check that everyone can actually hear me. Let's just see if there's anyone in the room. Let's see. Okay. No one's set as moderator, no one's just joined just yet, so let's just see who joins. But I'll carry on with it, and I think you should be able to hear me at this moment because my mic isn't on mute like it was last time I tried this. I was speaking for, oh God, about 30 minutes, and I didn't realise my mic was on mute, which made it a little bit ridiculous and hilariously funny. So I just had to get rid of that Go Live session. And but lessons learnt. The mic is right next to me, and last time I was using this, the indicator was flashing and I didn't notice. I was completely absorbed in looking at the camera, and I didn't see the mute button flashing, which indicates that it was actually on mute. So if you're actually joining, do put some comments in the window and say hi, so I know who's there. Right now there isn't anyone there, so I am kind of speaking to myself. So, what's this? What are these Go Live sessions for? Well, like everyone, we all have our own spiritual journey. We all call ourselves spiritual, and spiritual actually could mean many things to many people, and it means something to me. And I'll go into that a bit later. But for me, what spiritual actually truly is, it's free of dogma, free of religion, free from philosophy, free from ritual, free from ego, free from narcissism, free from mind, free from intellectualism. In other words, it's completely independent of all things that we create as experiencing humans. Everything that we feel is real, everything we hold on to and that we're taught is what spirituality for me should be free of. And what is the meaning of spirituality for me? Well, ultimately, the very end of the day, spirituality is one thing. It's to understand the true meaning and purpose to existence, whatever that means for you. And that is returning ourselves and creating a state within ourselves of grace. What is that? It's creating within ourselves a state of harmony, beauty, love and joy, and high frequency that resembles as close as possible that which we are when we're not in body while we are in body. That's ultimately what spirituality is for me, and its ultimate aim. In other words, returning to what we were, what we are out of body, in body, while we're experiencing human form or in the material realm. And everything that we learn, what we call expansion, leads us to this end, or it does not. So it's decisions we make will lead us to either the realization of that or not, or slows us down, causing reincarnation wheel and so on and so forth, which we'll talk about. And what these sessions are steered towards is for me to share my perceptions of what I receive internally, because it's our higher self that receives all information and that channels it to us. We just got to allow the higher self to re-emerge, which is another objective for us, and a challenge that we have is to remove the mind, the ego, the intellectualism, the narcissism, the bubble lives that we live, and allow the higher self to emerge, to bring in expanded thought, expanded perception, expanded inner knowing. In other words, opening the book, which I talk about in a lot of the videos on my channel. And what these Go Live sessions are for is for me to share my perception. It's a classroom. It isn't the classroom. There are many out there who will give their own perceptions and their own descriptions and their own philosophies to things that they receive. And we should be open to everything and everyone. And we should be listening to everything and everyone, every religion, every guru, rabbi, priest or pope, every person that sits in a cave contemplating their own navel, anyone who professes to be a conduit of the divine. Listen to what they say, but remember what they profess to be. I will go out there and say categorically there is no conduit to the divine on this earth, because we all are those conduits. We shouldn't follow anyone, neither me or my channel, regardless of how few, as it seems, or how many follow, or watch this, or tune in to these live sessions, or they don't. We should take what we receive and see from all avenues of expression, all avenues of knowledge, or all avenues of perception or channel, and absorb what resonates with us at that time. Put the rest to the side. I don't ask that we put it into the virtual trash can or dustbin, because those things will come into our frequency and resonance as we go through our expansive journey towards what I described earlier, emanating what we call the state of grace within ourselves, to allow us to experience what it is that we truly are in its most infinite and pure form as we can whilst in the material realm, so that we release ourselves from the cycle of rebirth. Again, we'll talk about that in future live sessions. But listen to everything and everyone, but do not follow. Do not be a follower. Do not practice the rituals. Do not adhere to dogmas. Just take pieces that resonate with you at the time. Put the rest aside, because as you expand, everything you know, everything we've learnt will change. And those things that we weren't resonating with before will come into our frequency and we'll resonate with them again in the future. So these are what these live sessions are about. It's taking us on a journey and sharing my perceptions effectively, and see what you get out of it. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. It'll be fun, and you'll be able to share it with others if you feel there'll be benefit to them. But again, don't take anything I say as gospel. You must feel the truth from within. Everything that's said to you should not be adhered to or believed or absorbed just because of the person who's saying it. You should resonate it quietly, whether in prayer, meditation, or silent states of peace when you have that time. And if it resonates with you, absorb it, contemplate it, allow your inner self, your energetic state, to contemplate it and understand what its true meaning is for you. And then put the rest aside, and those things will come into your frequency later. Now, there are two props here that we're going to talk about, and one of them is going to come up regularly, and one of them, well, maybe just a few times. And what is that? Well, the first one is this. I bought this yesterday, just thought about it. It's a baby's rattle, actually, and it's got holes in it, as you can see, and has these attachments there, which you can rattle around. You should be able to hear it on the mic. It's like a rattle. I wanted to get little balls to put into this because it doesn't quite symbolize what I wanted to use it for, but I'm going to get little balls that I can squeeze into these holes, so that they won't pop, they won't come back out, just maybe a handful of them, so I can use this as a prop. And I'm going to be using this today, but when next time you see it, hopefully I'll have little additional little balls in there that we can rattle around and use as a prop and a metaphor to symbolize a couple of things that we'll talk about. And again, we'll talk about, you'll be using this today. It's going to be great fun. And then the other one is this tea bag. This tea bag is very important, actually. This tea bag has a lot of meaning to it, and it's going to be something interesting. For those who haven't watched my video on karma and tendencies, you might want to watch that on my channel. I talk about bringing this back into one of those videos at least, and I talk about what this is a metaphor for in terms of reincarnation, karma, and tendency, which are effectively tendency is previous or past repeating paradigms of behavior. So this will come into view soon. And of course that tea bag is Yorkshire tea, of course, and I drink Yorkshire tea. So what's this tea bag is actually in this mug here. So for those who don't drink Yorkshire tea, you don't know what you're missing. Let's have a swig. Okay, so just for those who don't know or new, well, maybe listening to this for the first time, but if you listen to this on my channel, it won't be your first time. Anyone who joins this Facebook Go Live will maybe the first time for them. My channel is called The Spirit Lounge. It is on YouTube. It also is on BitChute. And of course, these live sessions and every video that I have will also be linked to on the Facebook page called The Spirit Lounge. So you can access them all there, and that's where this live stream will be going, on all of those social media forums, and maybe others in the future depending how things go with how things are in our current paradigm. Which segues very nicely to what we're going to talk about. So, we're in a paradigm today. It's a paradigm that we have never ever experienced before. And it has multiple facets to it, some seen and some unseen. There's plenty of those out there who have videos talking about the paradigm that we're in and what it's for and what they perceive it to be. all right, different ends of the spectrum. You can watch those. I won't be talking about that on this because it's not the purpose of this channel. It's not the purpose of my live stream. But it is almost impossible to avoid touching upon it. And that's what we need to... so I'm going to touch on it today just for a minute or two. And because it's appropriate. And it's where this kind of ball comes in here. This great thing here. So, today we're going to talk about freedom, sovereignty, liberty, and its association with free will. And also this ball is going to help us put it into another kind of metaphor to help describe what this is. So, freedom and sovereignty and liberty. We all say we want those things. We all want freedom, we all want sovereignty, we all want liberty. What does that mean for us? And how much do we understand its importance? And what's its impact to free will? So if you are in the chat room, I'd like to know what your perceptions are on liberty, freedom, sovereignty. And also, do you think it's related to free will? Do you not think it's related to free will? And what do you think free will actually is? Free will is what we have as a divine right. It's something that we have inherently. It's a divine gift. And free will is actually liberty, sovereignty, and independence. And freedom. That's what these things are, because without freedom, sovereignty and liberty, freedom is the ability to do anything you want. It's to be free, to be unrestricted. And the liberty is to be able to express how you wish to express. And sovereignty is mastership over your own being. So those things are mutually inclusive, they're not separated. If you don't have one of those, then the other two can't function. If you don't have one of those, then free will can't function. You don't have free will, because free will is a divine gift which mandates implicitly the existence of freedom, sovereignty and liberty. So it's like this ball. This is a metaphor for so much. There's so many. So let's just look at free will. If this ball, the round circumference of this ball, the sphere itself, was free will, and it had freedom, sovereignty, and liberty inside, which are aspects of free will. There are many others, but let's just look at those three fundamentals. And you took one out. Say you took liberty out, or freedom. Someone took freedom away from you, so you didn't have the ability to be, to express, to say, to hear, to think, to feel, to touch, to smell, to sense, to perceive, anything you wanted, to be free, to go wherever you wished, to experience. Then all you have left is a little bit of sovereignty and a little bit of liberty. But they'll be impeded on by the fact that you don't have the freedom. But if you don't have any of those, how can you make free will choices? Free will choices is part of this. If you take something out of here, it no longer becomes a fully functioning aspect of free will. A ball is missing. We come into free will because free will allows us to make the choices we wish to be as spiritual beings in material experiences called life. We can make whatever choices we wish in life. We can choose. Free will is choice. It's a choice to do this, to do A or to do B. To go down this crossroad or to turn right at a crossroad or turn left at a crossroad. To be nice to a person or to be not nice to a person. To love or to hate. To follow, to be a sheep or to be independent and free. Our free will choices, be they independently our own or not, will determine the life that we have. Because free will is cause and effect, in other words. It's cause and effect. Our free will choices create force of energy. Through a choice, making a mental thought is energy. Making a choice for mental thought is energy. It's force. It's manipulating energy and maneuvering it. That thought or a decision will express itself then into a physical action, a change, a shift in our individual lives, creating again another manifested force of action. That then trickles out into what we call karma and timelines, creating positive or negative things for ourselves. And then obviously timelines of experience that we will have going forward. If we keep making certain choices through free will, we'll determine a certain life for ourselves, and a timeline will be creating itself before us. The path we walk on will be that timeline if we keep making persistent karmic imbalances or balances through free will choices that we make. And free will is something that we're divinely given. But when we come into this earthly plane, it's something that we forget the importance of free will. And the physical aspects of human life that fuel free will are freedom, sovereignty, and liberty. And these are the things that we must protect at all costs. Now, I'm going to go back to free will first of all. How many of us think that we have free will thoughts? It's an interesting question, don't you think? How many of those who'll be watching this feel that you have free will thoughts? That your decisions that you make, the thoughts that you think, the things that you feel, that we feel, the things that we hate or love, that we embrace or not, how much of that free will choice that we seem to be making every millisecond, second of every day is truly free will? Free will is pure independent state. And that was what we were when we the second we enter life, we are a pure independent state. But we don't continue to be this way, do we? Because we enter life and we are immediately imposed upon by the human experience. Obviously, as a tiny baby, it's a minimal impact. But as we grow older and become more conscious of ourselves, that external imposition of all the distractions coming in from all spaces and areas will start impacting our consciousness, our perceptions and an awareness of what's around us, what our world actually is. And that also then immediately starts to impact how we perceive things. And that will then unconsciously, invisibly, but very powerfully impact our free will. Now, it doesn't impact our free will in that it removes free will. It impacts our free will in that it influences free will. So our choices that we seem to be making through free will decisions are actually maneuvered, manipulated, and impressed upon by external influences from wherever they come from. They morph our choices. They morph our free will. They manipulate our free will, and we don't know that. We don't realize that's happening. So a true free will choice, well, what is that? A true choice, a true karmic choice, a true independent universal choice. Where do we think that's made? Or how do we think that's made? How do we know that's something that we're as true to what we are from the moment, the speck of life that comes into being when we're born into physical life? How do we know we're making choices through the free will we had then to the type of free will choices we're making as we're adults? Well, that happens and loops back to what we were talking about before at the beginning of this Go Life session. And that was, the closer we return to our state of high frequency, of grace, of joy, of love, of peace and harmony, beauty, which are the resonances of the universe itself, all that is, all that we are. You can call it whatever you like. It has many names. It is only just the one isness, the great I, the center source of all things is what I wish to refer it to as the divine source, of which we are all infinite aspects of, fractals of. We need to move into that. The closer we move into that vibration in life, the closer we move into that frequency and that awareness, which then opens our perceptions wide and unrestricted, the closer we shift and maneuver and expand ourselves back to what we always were at the beginning. That is where, in that particular condition or state of perceptional life, is when we start making free will choices, which is truly the free will choice of the spirit. Up until that point, we are actually making free will choices that are manipulations of perception and awareness from external inputs, from all manner of places that we receive in our daily lives. So this is an imposition that we all have, and we know we have, and we're going to have when we come into life. And so we need to be aware of that free will is not just the ability to make a choice, but it's also where are these choices and the influences of these choices coming from. The two important factors. And the most important one that has been impacting us on free will choice is actually, where are the choices truly coming from that we're making? What's influencing those that we're not aware of because they're so silent? They're invisible to us. And we need to become aware of them, because there's the first things that we need to become aware of, and as much as possible direct to where they need to be, which is internally over here. Making your awareness coming from here rather than there is where the shift and what expansion is, and what spirituality truly truly is and where the meaning of spirituality is trying to take you. It's trying to take you away from the ego, narcissistic intellectual mind, which is the god of most people these days. Let's face it. If people think they know everything, they think they're aware of what is, they think they know, they understand everything that's around them. Over here, when you shift down, you start to know what's real perception. You start to know what is real awareness, and you start to know internally what truly is, what this universe is, what we are as humans, as spiritual beings in human bodies, experiencing human form, because that's all we are, temporarily fleeting lives. This universe, the universal laws behind it, our place in this universe and why we are here. Each of us individually, why we are here. We have different reasons. That comes from here. It's called knowing, internal state. When you emanate from here as far as we can within a material realm, which is actually quite expansive, then this will allow us to have true free will, choice, driven from the internal space. Now that's one thing. The other thing is having free will at all. Free will is where, not that it's silently and invisibly guided by distractions of our world. I'll have another drink. But it's also, are we going to have free will at all? Now, this is where I touch into the paradigm that we're in, the state of humanity that exists today. And I'll just say this once: there is, unfortunately, if you have a sight from within sight, which is here, and you truly open up to this world, you'll realize and understand that humanity is not as it's not what it seems, is it? The experience is not what it seems. There's very, very, very many layers of expression within humanity, intention within humanity. Some of it's above the waterline that we can see, and some of it, and much of it, is below. And there are many intentions from people and humans in life. This is what we must understand. Those watching this or those on the live stream may feel that everyone's like me. Right? We're watching this because you're a loving, kind, generous, thoughtful human being who tries to be good as much as you can to others, to give as much as you can to others, to love with grace and live with good consciousness, and humility, honesty and integrity all the time. And that's what the majority of people are. They just want to live in a state of love and beauty in their lives, and enjoy nature, raise their families, and be good to each other as much as possible. But that isn't the case for everyone. Some people are attracted to independence, freedom, liberty, sovereignty, love for each other. Other people are attracted to the opposite of that, which is subjugation, suppression, oppression, greed, collection, ownership, control of everything and everyone. This is what we call the duality, and again we'll be talking about that too in future live sessions. But we live in a world where these intentions exist. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to work this out. It's obvious. Right? It's obvious. We have both light and dark, and these are just frequency and tendencies, and people are attracted to one or the other of those, and that will drive their behaviors, their intentions, their outcomes, their actions, words and thoughts. And what's happening today in this world is, unfortunately, there is a drive to completely, in the future, using technology and this paradigm that we're in as foundation to really subjugate humanity and control human perception. It's complete subjugation and oppression of human perception, be that mental, emotional, physical, with those three, which leads down into energetic and leads down to the suppression of the divine spirit within. This is what's going on today. And as a result of those intentions, you can call them, whether you want to accept that or not, it really doesn't matter, to be honest, because the physical world that you'll experience will present it to you, because it's if those timelines are possibilities, and that time, one of those timelines may come to pass. I'm not going to say which one, but right now that it could be any. It's up to us, really. But let's just surmise, let's just assume, hypothesize for a moment that that one does. That one then will mean implicitly that we'll have an imposition of the removal of sovereignty, liberty, and freedom. Sovereignty is already happening with the sovereignties over ourselves, our being, our presence, our state, this body of ours, this vessel that we experience life in, is sovereign. We are sovereign beings. We define and dictate what happens to us, the I, the person, me, that's talking, who's talking to you and those who are watching. And that is through mechanisms to impose external things onto the body, into the body. For whatever that is, you make your own minds up. The liberty, well, they're being imposed. There's a liberty of what we can or can't do, where we can or can't go, who we can or cannot meet, how many people we can or cannot be socializing with. There's so many things, and these things will not end. They will go on for a very long time, not for the reasons you might think. And so there's sovereignty, and then there's liberty is being imposed upon, and that's going to become worse. And then there's freedom. There's your freedom to do anything, to be anywhere, to express who you are, to travel, to say what you think if it doesn't comply with the mainstream or mainstream thought, to think what you wish to think, to follow what you wish to follow. There's no freedoms. There's the freedoms and liberties are closely intertwined together. They are absolutely and completely, implicitly intertwined. They are inclusive of all each other. They are one, but all of everything in this ball called free will. You could call it one of those things, call that little capsule there free will. The little balls being liberty, freedom, sovereignty, and other aspects of it. And if you suppress those and start removing them in here, what do you have left? What do you have left? Well, you have an empty capsule, or you have degraded aspects within it which don't have much force left, much energy, much power. The light within them is dimmed, in other words. And if the light within them is dimmed, then how do you make free will choices? You can't. It's clear, right? You can't make free will choices. Because free will choices determines and needs you to have absolute freedom, absolute liberty, and absolute sovereignty over yourself, your life, your expression, your being, who you wish to be, where you wish to be, how you wish to think, how you wish to feel, what you wish to say, what you wish to love, what you wish to embrace, because we're all on different paths and journeys. You can't make free will choices because they're already being imposed upon and influenced silently by external distractions. But then on top of that, the imposition and the removal and degradation of sorry, just looking at my phone there, I thought somebody was telling me they couldn't hear me again. That would have been hilarious. Again, those impositions and removals will degrade not only your ability to make any choice at all, but it will limit your ability to what kind of choices you can even make. Through the imposition of freedom, liberty and sovereignty will limit the choices you can even make, which then exponentially increases the imposition because it sits on top of the silent impositions that are already coming in, manipulating the choices that you already make. So, why did I choose this? Well, I was going to talk about karma today, but I didn't, because a very dear person close to me was talking about suggested freedom, actually, and also said that free will was separate from freedom. And I thought I'd talk about that today because it was a great talking point, actually, and say that, well, actually it isn't. It's mutually inclusive. Freedom, sovereignty, free will and liberty is all the same. And I hopefully explain that today. Karma is being built around us, and I feel it. It saddens me, actually, the karma that's being built for each and every one of us, individually and collectively, and some in large volumes for some of those on this earth plane today. It's actually very saddening for me, and we'll talk about that on another live stream. What karma is and how it creates, well, how it's created, how it influences, and how important it is that we take heed of it and don't try to intellectualize it and think we can hide from it. Those who think they can hide from karma are absorbed in the human experience and have forgotten what karma actually means. It's going to be an interesting little chat, that. But the freedom itself is an interesting thing because it's so vitally important, and I wanted to impress upon everyone, regardless of what journey you're on, whether it be spiritual or not spiritual, whether it be intellectual or not intellectual, whatever conveyor belt you decided to go on, to step upon, to move you forward. And well, there are many we'll traverse. Freedom, liberty and sovereignty must be protected. It will be to our folly and to our detriment, and to a detriment that we do not want to experience, if we ever relinquish those three aspects of physical, material experience. They are implicitly part of free will. And free will is our divine right. Free will is our divine liberty. Free will is our divine sovereignty. And free will is our divine freedom. Without those physical aspects, then free will is degraded, and our ability to live the life that we came here to live from our spiritual home, we cannot fulfill. It comes down to that in the end. If we're willing to give away our freedom, our sovereignty, our liberty, and thereby impose almost eradication of free will, or the limitation of it, that it cannot express itself only by a dim light, or through a dim light, then how are we supposed to be making choices to fulfill what we all seem to seek in life, which is our purpose? How are we supposed to achieve or even enlighten ourselves to our destiny that people call purpose? How are we supposed to even build the physical experience that we wish to enjoy around ourselves if we're not able to have freedom, liberty and sovereignty to do what we wish, to express how we wish, to be how we wish. What happens is that we end up just being, we just exist. If we don't have freedom, liberty and sovereignty, and thus free will, we just exist. We end up just being economical production units, and we just exist. We just in bodies, and we just go to work, we sleep, we eat, we drink, we procreate, we create life, and we do it all again. This is a cycle of very meaningless, ultimate, infinite meaning, because we don't have those things. And we have to make sure that those aspects of freedom, liberty, sovereignty, and thus free will are ultimately protected. Whatever happens in our lives and decisions we have to make, those we support or don't, we must ensure that those aspects that we discussed today are protected and are never, never imposed upon for any means, for any reason. And that means not even for the greater good, because that is something that's being used to make you feel guilty, so that you will give away those things that are divinely gifted to us and our infinite right. Don't give them away. Just don't give them away. If you give them away, individually or collectively, as a nation, as a town or a city, as a nation, as a planet, as a human species, then we're going to suffer the consequences of those things. And when it happens, if it happens, then be prepared to look into the mirror and own the outcome. Because remember, the universe is very simple. It gives us all that we need, but it's us who removes all that we're given. And we do that through free will choice, creating cause and effect, consequence, in other words. So be prepared to own what happens, and be prepared to own that what happens for the decisions you make, for those that you make decisions for, who are not able to make those decisions or impose themselves because they're our children, the younger in life, and those older in life who rely on us to make sometimes decisions for them. We own the responsibility for all of those things, remember, for generations to come. And also remember, and this is another point that we'll talk about in future lives, you'll come back to what you leave behind in reincarnation. So it's again an illusion to think it doesn't matter if they do that. Not going to be around very long. I've only got a couple of decades to live. I have enough money, and by the way, money is not going to protect anybody. No matter how much you have, even if you have millions, it will not make much difference. Hardly any at all. You'll be paddling into the same boat as those who have nothing at all in terms of material. But reincarnation does depict and will define for ourselves, by the way, that we'll come back to the thing that we leave behind. We'll come back to the thing that we've left and created to resolve our tendencies that are unresolved in an environment of what we choose. But it will highly likely be the one that we left behind. So we will multiple incarnationally live everything that we allow for generations to come. And you'll be part of those generations to come. So it's important to expand and keep your spiritual expansion going at this time. It's vitally important that this happens. And just remember that life, humanity, everything that we are is going to be a choice for us. It's our choices will define it. And this ball here, if we look at this ball and just call it the universal playground, let's use it as for another example and move away from the subject of today's live session. This ball can indicate, let's just say, spirit itself, source, surrounds this ball. And by the way, because everything is in source, it's all one, it's all integrated, all energy is one, we vibrate all the same. The frequency of me will vibrate out and impact the human experience outside. And so we're all integrated into either, not actually in our physical body, which is just a vibration of energy and perception. But this ball, call that the multiverse or omniverse. We live in a field of dreams. We live in a bubble or a sphere of infinite possibility where absolutely anything can be manifest in this bubble. Through our intentions, our thoughts, transmuting energy into form and into matter through perception. Anything that we can create can be fed by forcing the force of energy. Through intention and also through physical action. They need to go together. And within here we have, let's say, universes, and let's just call these things in there universes, these little capsule things lodged to some of the outside. Universes, multiple universes in an omniverse of experience that we, our spirit, decides a fractal of us comes into and becomes a being of life, in this case human, an experience. And in these universes are all these galaxies, and within those galaxies are there's constellations of galaxies, and then galaxies within those constellations of galaxies, and then within those constellations of star systems, and in those star systems planets, moons, and within all of that is life. Billions of sentient, aware life with consciousness, animate or inanimate, living in this bubble, in this sphere called the infinite, unceasing, growing, ever expanding omniverse of universes, of galaxies, of star systems, of planets, of billions of life. Some far more intelligent and advanced than humanity. This planet that we sit on has been around for over 4.5 billion years, way longer than the modern humanity has ever been recorded to exist. If you think we're the only life that's ever existed on this planet, then you might want to rethink that. And if we think that we're the only sentient, intelligent life within this sphere that I've just described, you might also want to rethink that. Because within here is that we're all one. We're one within and without of this omniverse. Within Source itself, all exists. All is Source. All goes back to it, is of it, and expressions within it. We are all one. But within our mind, we need to separate this out. But as beings, we can be anything that's in here. At the moment, we've chosen to be humans, and we may continue. Many of us will continue to choose to be that. Others, maybe many beings in this, and they're sometimes called star seeds, star people. And they're just expressions, and we take with us all that we have been in the past. And everything in this sphere has one primary objective that I described at the very beginning of this video, this live stream. And what was that? The challenge for everything within this omniverse, this virtual playground, this theatre of all and infinite possibility, where absolutely anything that we wish to manifest, wish to experience, can be created in this, because it's all part of Source, which is infinite manifestation of all that is and all that we are, is to return our frequency. The ultimate objective for everything is to return our frequency back to the vibration and the emanation of Source itself, which is divine love and beauty and joy and peace and harmony, tranquility, contentment, laughter, all expression, divine freedom, divine liberty, divine sovereignty, expressing our divine and mandated gift of free will. It's all one. There is no separation. We are all just one. So that's all I wanted to talk about today, because I'm coming to the end of the live stream. It's 10 minutes to go. Let's see if we have any comments in the chat window. Oh, no comments in there. That's a surprise. Okay, that's good. That's fine. Maybe there's some comments next time. But I hope you enjoyed this live stream, because I'll be doing others, and next time what I'll do is I'll pop up the in the live stream invitation the kind of subject I might talk about. I don't actually rehearse any of this. I don't write anything down at all. This is all I have on this. Just 3 words. I don't actually have anything prepared. I don't rehearse this. I don't write notes. I literally just say what comes. And sometimes I can go off on tangents. Sometimes that will happen in some of these live streams, and I just go with it because it's something that needs to be said. And if something channels through, then I just go there. So I may end up in one subject and then quickly divert onto another one, and then come back to the one I started with. So I may flit around sometimes, and that happens. So just get used to that, I suppose. But it'll be fun. And yeah, we'll bring in this ball again, and we will talk about this tea bag, because they're fun things, and it's just an expansive journey, as I say. I hope this is fun and that you guys enjoy it. I'm here just to share my own truth, but it's not the only one. Listen to all that's out there, but follow no one. Follow no one, because the journey at the end of the day, will only ever be yours. It's a private one. It's the one that's internal. Teachers will be out there, but you will not need a teacher all the way through. You'll just need many that you'll take aspects from. But at the end, the journey will be an inward one of the self, where you'll be sitting in meditation or quiet silence and allowing everything that's in here and everything of Source that is around everything that is, all that is, to enter your space. And that's the inner eye. That's the divine spirit within, which just needs to re-emerge. Instead of having a dim light that's suppressed within the self, for whatever reasons that we have individually suppressed it, is to allow that light to become an inferno and be the face of your being in everything that every action, every word, every thought, and every intention of infinite life. And that's the journey we'll be walking together. Okay, thanks very much for listening. I'm going to stop this live session now, and I'll see you all again next time. Until then, take care of yourselves, and love to you all. Thank you. See you later. Bye-bye.